Collecting Nintendo plushes is very different in the UK compared to the US and Japan. Where you guys have your giant Nintendo stores and official Amazon listings, we have Game. This is the only major retailer that sells Sané plushes, and you know what? It's actually not half bad. It's far from ideal, but especially since the beginning of 2025, the selection has been pretty decent. There's a pretty good selection of Mario plushes nowadays. The core 5 who've been available at Game since like 2017 are still around and kicking: Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Toad, and Koopa Troopa, but the selection has also expanded to include Princess Peach, Bowser, and a decent little handful of enemies. Goomba, Boo, Bullet Bill, Shy Guy, Piranha Plant. Hell, they've even introduced some size variants like Medium Mario, Medium and Large Yoshi, and the Large Bowser from the old Super Mario Bros. Set. They also have Tanuki Mario and a few of the catsuit plushes from 3D World. This is absolutely the best selection of Mario series plushes Game have ever had, at least since the All-Star collection has been around. A few years ago they had Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, and Wario in the mix too, and while those three are definitely more iconic, I actually think I vastly prefer the current selection they have going. It's not just the Mario series that's getting more representation either. Game has had the Sané Toon Link plush for as long as I can remember, but they've also introduced the Breath of the Wild Link and Zelda plushes, a few of the regular Villager plushes from the Animal Crossing All-Star set, and Kirby is somehow more prevalent than ever. I mean, a game near me literally has an entire section of the shop dedicated to Kirby plushes. Need I say more? The Nintendo plush scene at Game is thriving, but things still aren't perfect here. For one, the stock is really inconsistent. They tend to pretty reliably have the 4 Mario variants, Small, Medium, Cat, and Tanuki. There's a pretty good shot they'll have Yoshi, and Kirby takes up more space than the actual game. But the rest are a complete and utter dice roll. And I get it. I somehow doubt the company's top execs saw me buying a handful of Mario plushes and thought to change their whole business model. These products aren't particularly high priority for the company. This point is highlighted by the fact that in a lot of their stores, the plushes are just dumped in these little baskets and squashed together to make room for as many as possible. This might seem like a nitpick, but there are a couple of legitimate issues with this. For starters, how the hell am I supposed to tell if there's a Shy Guy plush in stock when there's a ball pit-sized mound of fluff? Do you have any idea how embarrassing it is being a 21-year-old man digging through a plush bin just to try and get my hands on Luigi? Secondly, when the plushes are left in this state for a long time, they start to morph. I mean, it's probably not any sort of permanent damage, plushes are very malleable by nature, but because of that, they can very easily get squished out of shape and it makes them look funky. It just sucks to find a plush you were wanting, only for it to be all warped and sad looking. This could just be a me thing, but I honestly won't buy a plush if it's in that state. You wanna know the worst thing about buying plushes at Game though? The fact that most of their stores are not standalone stores. In 2019, Sports Direct, a sporting goods retailer here in the UK, bought out Game for £52 million. And ever since then, a lot of their stores have been closed and integrated as part of Sports Direct's larger stores. So 9 times out of 10, in order to get to a Game, I have to go all the way to the farthest back corner of a Sports Direct. Now, I'm quite an active guy, I enjoy sports and exercise, and I really don't feel like I'm the target demographic for most of what Sports Direct sells. When I'm trying to get my hands on a Goomba plush and I have to walk past 4 aisles of Adidas tracksuits and Calvin Klein boxers, it puts a bit of a dampener on my plush buying experience. And you know what? I know I shouldn't care what anybody else thinks. These little bundles of fluff make me happy, and that's all that truly matters. But there's an undeniable air of judgment when I'm perusing the plush bin in the dingy corner of a Sports Direct that just puts me on edge. So buying plushes in person is better than it ever has been, but still far from ideal. At least if you're like me and only really interested in Sané's offerings. There are a lot of places that carry a few of the World of Nintendo plushes. A lot of toy shops like Smith's Toys Superstores often have a fair selection of Mario characters from this line. But bizarrely, regular old supermarkets like Morrison's and Asda also tend to have at least the Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi from this set, which, if nothing else, I find really amusing. I've never seen the appeal for the world of Nintendo plushes though. They're all just ugly. In terms of reliable online options, the official Nintendo UK store is about the best we have here, which you'd think would put us in pretty good standing, what with it being the official storefront of the company that owns the IP these plushes are based on, but no. Nintendo UK's offerings of San plushes is honestly more dire than games. Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, Toad, Koopa, the 5 staples remain true here, but in addition, this site offers Wario, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, and that's it. So, Nintendo's official UK store only has as many Mario plushes as Game had in 2020. Fantastic work, guys. In total fairness, they have a fair amount of non-San plushes from this franchise, and the selections for the likes of Animal Crossing and Kirby are also slightly better. It's not a bad option for getting your hands on some Nintendo plushes. It's just not as much better than the alternatives as I anticipated it'd be. Because other than Game, the only real alternative is eBay, which in complete fairness can nab you some absolutely bangin' plushes. In the last 6 months or so, I've managed to get my hands on Yellow Toad from the new Super Mario Bros. Wii set, Red Toad from the old Super Mario set, and B Mario from the San Super Mario Galaxy set, all from UK sellers. eBay is absolutely not a bad option for plush collecting in the UK, but it is not the most reliable. You can't just think of any plush you'd want and get your hands on it within minutes. There often aren't a great deal of listings, and of the ones that do show up, not all of them are going to be legit. I definitely think eBay is better for older but slightly less sought after plushes, like Yellow Toad here. Plush collecting in the UK is probably the best it has ever been right now, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't still find the options available to collectors to be lagging. And this ended up sending me down a bit of a rabbit hole. You see, I was already well aware that Little Buddy were the North American distributor of San's plush offerings, but I never actually knew who distributed these products in the UK. Until recently. A company called Together Plus has been the UK and Europe's plush distributor since around 2011, and every plush they release in the UK comes equipped with a link to their website. This site catalogues every plush they currently offer in my neck of the woods, which roughly translates to every San plush that's been released beyond like 2013. This doesn't include older sets like the Super Mario set, but it does include plushes I didn't even know were still being manufactured, such as the flying squirrel plushes from the new Super Mario Bros. U set. I felt like a kid walking into the living room on Christmas morning when I saw this list. I was absolutely beside myself with glee, but it didn't take long for the most depressing part of being a UK plush collector to rear its ugly head. Together Plus do not have a storefront. They do not have any official presence on Amazon or eBay. They do not have any links to any trusted retailers that sell their products. This website just exists as a tantalizing glimpse into a reality that is within my reach, but will forever be just beyond my grasp. It's devastating. If Together Plus would only make their products available for purchase directly through them, the UK plush collecting scene would be absolutely unstoppable. But for the time being, we just have to make do with a reality that's better than it has been, but far from as good as it could be. The UK isn't the only place suffering from poor plush practices. To find out how Nintendo is dropping the ball, watch my last video on the biggest issues with Nintendo plushes.